Sit down. Tonight, we're talking about the question you've been avoiding. Should you stay or should you leave? You're in a relationship that isn't working. Maybe it's dead. Maybe it's toxic. Maybe it's just not right. But you're still there. Why? Because leaving is terrifying. Because you've already invested so much time. Because what if you're making a mistake? Because what if you can't do better? Because of the kids, the finances, the fear of being alone, so you stay. In a relationship that's killing you slowly. Tonight, I'm going to help you answer the question. The psychology of why people stay when they should leave. The psychology of why people leave when they should stay. How to tell the difference between normal relationship problems and actual deal breakers. The sunk cost fallacy, kids as excuse, recognizing abuse versus conflict, the grief of leaving, post-breakup growth, and the framework, the actual decision-making process. This is Inner Pigment. Let's go. Why you're still there. The sunk cost fallacy, economics concept, applied to relationships. Sunk cost fallacy, continuing something because you've already invested time, money, effort, even when continuing costs more than quitting. Example, you've been in this relationship for 5 years. It's not working, hasn't been for a while, but you think, I can't leave now. I've already put in 5 years. So you stay. Another year, another year, another year. Now it's 8 years, then 10, and the thought of leaving gets harder because you've invested even more. This is the sunk cost fallacy. The time you've already spent, that's gone. You can't get it back. The only relevant question, is this relationship good for your future, not your past? Your future. But people don't think that way. They think, I've already put in so much, I can't walk away now. Yes, you can. The past is gone. You're choosing your future. Fear of being alone. Biggest reason people stay. They're terrified of being alone. Single, starting over, dating again. They think, what if I can't find anyone else? What if I'm alone forever? What if this is as good as it gets? So they stay in a mediocre or bad relationship. Because known misery feels safer than unknown possibility. But here's the truth. Being alone is not the worst thing. Being in a relationship where you're lonely, that's worse. Being with someone who doesn't see you, doesn't value you, doesn't love you well, that's worse than being alone. Fear of regret. What if I'm making a mistake? What if it gets better and I'm not there to see it? What if I leave and regret it? These fears keep people paralyzed, unable to decide, so they stay by default. But here's the thing about regret. You can regret leaving, but you can also regret staying. And staying in a bad relationship, that's years of your life you can't get back. At least if you leave and regret it, you tried something new. You gave yourself a chance. Hope, the most dangerous thing. Hope keeps people in terrible relationships. Maybe they'll change. Maybe it'll get better. Maybe if I just try harder, love them more, be more patient. Hope is what keeps victims of abuse going back. Hope is what keeps people in dead relationships for decades. Hope is dangerous because it stops you from seeing reality. You're not seeing who they are. You're seeing who you hope they'll become, and they never do. The kids. I'm staying for the kids. This is the most common reason, and sometimes it's valid, but often it's an excuse. Research shows kids do better with 2 happy separated parents than 2 miserable married parents. Staying in a toxic marriage for the kids teaches them love looks like resentment. Relationships are supposed to be joyless. You should settle and be miserable. That's the model they'll repeat. So ask yourself honestly, are you staying for the kids? Or are you using the kids as an excuse because you're scared to leave? Financial dependence, real barrier, especially for women. Can't afford to leave? Financially tied, shared assets, mortgage, debt. Leaving means lower standard of living, maybe poverty, uncertainty. So they stay. This is why financial independence matters. If you can't leave because you can't afford to, you're not in a relationship. You're in financial captivity. Identity and shame. Who are you without this relationship? You've built your identity around being their partner, your friends, your routines, your sense of self. Leaving means rebuilding from scratch and shame. I failed at marriage. Everyone will judge me. I couldn't make it work. Shame keeps people in bad relationships because admitting it failed feels like admitting you failed. Normal problems versus deal breakers. What's normal? Every relationship has problems, even good ones. If you're leaving because of normal relationship problems, you'll just recreate them with the next person. Normal problems, conflict about household division. Who does what? Chores, mental load, solvable, requires communication and adjustment. Not a deal breaker. Conflict about money, spending versus saving, financial priorities. Common, requires compromise. Not a deal breaker. Different communication styles. She wants to talk. He wants space, requires learning each other's needs. Not a deal breaker. Sexual frequency mismatch. Different libidos. Normal in long-term relationships. Requires negotiation and understanding. Not a deal breaker. In-law problems. Boundary issues with extended family. Requires united front and boundaries. Not a deal breaker. Personality differences. Introvert versus extrovert. Planner versus spontaneous. Neat versus messy. These are perpetual problems. Gottman's 69%. They don't get solved. They get managed, not deal breakers, unless you make them. What's a deal breaker? Deal breakers are different. These are not solvable. These are fundamental incompatibilities or harm. 1. Abuse, physical, emotional, sexual, financial. If you're being abused, leave. No negotiation, no second chances. Leave. Abuse doesn't get better. It escalates. 2. Addiction, untreated, alcohol, drugs, gambling, porn. If they're actively using and refusing treatment, you can't fix them. You can support recovery, but you can't force it. If they won't get help, deal breaker. 3. Infidelity, repeated. One affair, some couples survive. But repeated cheating, that's a pattern. They're showing you who they are. Believe them. 4. Contempt. Gottman's research. Contempt predicts divorce with 90% plus accuracy. If they look at you with disgust, mock you, treat you as beneath them, that's contempt, and it's nearly impossible to come back from. 5. Fundamental value mismatch. Kids versus no kids. Monogamy versus open relationship. Religion, life goals, where to live. If you fundamentally want different lives, you're incompatible. Love isn't enough. 6. Refusal to work on the relationship. If you're the only one trying, that's a deal breaker. Relationships require two people. If they won't go to therapy, won't communicate, won't try, you can't save it alone. The gray area. Most relationships aren't clearly stay or leave. They're in the gray area, not abusive, but not thriving, not terrible, but not good, just existing. This is where people get stuck, because it's not bad enough to justify leaving, but it's not good enough to be happy. So they stay in limbo, waiting for clarity. But clarity might never come. Sometimes you have to make a decision without perfect information. Recognizing abuse. People think abuse is obvious, hitting, screaming, violence. But emotional abuse is harder to see, especially when you're in it. Signs of emotional abuse, gaslighting, they make you doubt your reality. That never happened. You're remembering it wrong. You're crazy. You start questioning yourself, your memory, your sanity, isolation. They cut you off from friends and family, subtly. They don't really care about you. I'm the only one who understands you. Or directly, I don't want you seeing them anymore. Isolation makes you dependent, easier to control. Control. They control your money, your phone, your schedule, your decisions, where you go, who you see, what you wear. Control disguised as care. I just worry about you. But it's control. Degradation. They belittle you, insult you, mock you. You're so stupid. No one else would want you. You're lucky I put up with you. Constant criticism, eroding your self-worth, walking on eggshells. You're constantly managing their moods, trying not to set them off, monitoring your words, your actions, your tone. This is not love. This is fear. Why victims stay? If you've never been in an abusive relationship, you ask, why don't they just leave? If you have been, you know why? Fear. Leaving is the most dangerous time. Abusers escalate when they lose control. Statistics. Most domestic violence murders happen when the victim tries to leave. Financial dependence. Abusers often control finances. Victims have no money, no resources, nowhere to go. Isolation. Abusers isolate victims, cut them off from support, so they have no one to turn to. Trauma bonding. The cycle. Abuse to apology to honeymoon phase to tension to abuse. The honeymoon phase? That's when the bond forms. They're kind, loving, apologetic, the person you fell in love with. So you stay, hoping to get back to that. Hope. Maybe they'll change. Maybe it was my fault. Maybe, if I'm better, they won't get angry. Hope keeps victims trapped. Low self-worth. After constant degradation, victims believe they're worthless. No one else would want me. I deserve this. It's not that bad. They can't see a way out because they can't see their own value. If you're in abuse, you need to leave. I know it's not that simple. I know you're scared, financially dependent, isolated, but you need to leave, not for my sake, for yours, because it will not get better. Abusers don't change, not without serious intervention, and most refuse it. Safety planning. Don't tell them you're leaving until you're safe. Document abuse, photos, messages, recordings where legal. Secure important documents, ID, birth certificates, financial records. Save money secretly if possible. Have a go bag ready. Clothes, medications, documents. Tell someone you trust. Leave when they're not there. I know this is terrifying, but staying is more dangerous. The questions to ask. Not sure if you should stay or leave? Ask yourself these questions. Honestly, 1, am I being abused? If yes, leave. Now, get help. If no, continue. 2, are they willing to work on this? Will they go to therapy, communicate, make changes? If no, you can't fix it alone. Probably leave. If yes, there's hope. But proceed carefully. 3, do I still love them? Not, am I comfortable with them? Not, do I care about them? Do I love them? If no, why are you staying? If yes, is love enough given the problems? 4, do they respect me? Not love, respect. Do they value my opinions, my needs, my boundaries, or do they dismiss, belittle, ignore me? If no respect, love alone isn't enough. 5, am I happy? Not, am I content? Not, could it be worse? Am I happy? If you have to think about it, the answer is probably no. 6, Is this relationship adding to my life or subtracting from it? Do I feel better or worse since being with them? More confident or less? More alive or more dead? If it's subtracting, why stay? 7. Would I want my child in this relationship? Imagine your child or a child you love in your exact relationship. What would you tell them? Stay and work on it? Or you deserve better? Whatever you tell them, that's what you should do. 8. If nothing changed, could I stay like this for 5 more years? 10? 20? If the relationship stayed exactly as it is right now, could you live with that? If no, then staying is betting on change that might never come. The trial separation. If you're truly torn, not sure, gray area, consider a trial separation, not a break. A structured separation, set terms, time frame, 3 months, 6 months. Rules. Are you seeing other people? In therapy? In contact? Goal. Clarity. During separation, leave apart. Get space. Work on yourself. Individual therapy. See how you feel without them. Do you miss them? Or do you feel relief? After. Decide. Together or apart. Don't drift back together out of comfort. Make an active choice. The last chance, if you're going to stay, give it one last real try, not half-assed, not, I guess we'll see. Full effort. Conditions, couples therapy, non-negotiable. Both of you trying, not just you. Time limit, 6 months, maybe a year. Then reassess. If after genuine effort it's still not working, you have your answer. At least you'll know you tried. And you can leave without regret. The grief of leaving, it will hurt. Even if leaving is the right choice, even if the relationship was terrible, it will hurt. You're grieving not just the person, the life you had, the future you imagined, the identity, the routines, the shared history. Grief is not linear. You'll have good days and bad days. Days you're sure you made the right choice. Days you want to run back. This is normal. The relief-guilt cycle, you'll feel relief, then guilt for feeling relief. If I feel relieved, maybe I made a mistake. No, you can feel relief and grief at the same time. Relief that you're out of a bad situation. Grief for what you hoped it would be. Both are valid. The second guessing. You'll second guess everything. What if I was too harsh? What if I gave up too soon? What if they changed now that I'm gone? This is normal. But remember why you left. Write it down. Before you leave, all the reasons. When you start second guessing, read the list. The loneliness. You'll be lonely, especially at first. You went from having someone, even if the relationship was bad, to having no one. Your bed is empty. Your routine is disrupted. Your identity is shaken. This is the hardest part. This is where people go back. Don't. Loneliness is temporary. A bad relationship is long-term misery. The X factor. Cut contact. Seriously, no, let's be friends. Not right away. Maybe never. You need space to heal. Seeing them, texting them, checking their social media. That's keeping the wound open. Block if you need to. Delete photos. Remove reminders. Give yourself space to move on. The growth. Here's what no one tells you. Leaving a bad relationship, that's when you start growing. You'll rediscover who you are without them, your interests, your desires, your identity. You'll realize how much of yourself you gave up. And you'll start rebuilding, stronger, clearer, wiser. The grief is real. But so is the growth. Rebuilding. After the breakup, first few months. Survive. Don't make big decisions. Don't jump into another relationship. Just survive. Feel your feelings. Cry, rage, grieve. Let yourself be a mess. Rediscover yourself. Who were you before this relationship? What did you love? What did you want? Start there. Reconnect with old friends, old hobbies, old dreams, or discover new ones. Take a class. Travel. Try something you always wanted to try. This is your chance to build the life you actually want. Therapy. Get therapy if you can. Process the breakup. Understand your patterns. Why did you choose this person? Why did you stay so long? What do you need to heal before the next relationship? If you don't process it, you'll repeat it. Different person, same pattern. The rebound trap. Don't immediately jump into another relationship. I know you're lonely. I know you want to feel loved again. But rushing into the next relationship? That's avoidance. You're avoiding grief, avoiding yourself. Take time. Be alone. Heal. Then when you're ready, you'll choose better. Learning the lessons. Every relationship teaches you something, even the bad ones, especially the bad ones. What did this relationship teach you? About yourself, your needs, your boundaries, your deal breakers, about what you will and won't accept. These lessons are valuable. Don't waste them by jumping back into the same pattern. The next relationship, when you're ready. And you'll know you're ready when you're not looking to fill a void. You're not running from loneliness. You're choosing from wholeness, not from lack. That's when you're ready. And you'll choose differently because you know yourself better now. You know what you need, what you won't tolerate. You're wiser, stronger, and the next relationship, it'll be different, not perfect, but healthier because you're healthier. Should you stay or should you leave? No one can answer that for you. Not me, not your friends, not your family. Only you know. But you do know. Deep down, you know. If you're being abused, leave. If they won't work on the relationship, leave. If you're staying out of fear, guilt, or obligation, that's not a reason to stay. If you're staying because of sunk cost, let it go. If you're staying for the kids, make sure that's really why. And not just an excuse, the only reason to stay, because the relationship is good, or can be good, with effort from both of you. If it's not, and can't be, leave. Yes, it will hurt. Yes, you'll grieve. Yes, you'll be lonely. But staying in a relationship that's killing you, that hurts more. That's a lifetime of misery versus temporary pain followed by growth. Choose growth. Choose yourself. You deserve a relationship that adds to your life, not subtracts from it. If this one doesn't, find one that does, or be alone and build a life you love. Either way, you'll be okay. This has been Inner Pigment. Stay curious, stay brave, and remember, leaving is not failure. Staying in something that's wrong for you, that's failure. Choose wisely.